You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
Streets, wipe away the dust with your sacred wings. LA Street Angel.
Can't hear anything.
Giving
Hello. Okay, good. I can hear myself. Woo! Hi, welcome to the Street Angel Show in the middle of Hollywood. And we got awesomeness today. We're going to be talking again about love, sex, relationships, dating, and this time from more of the male perspective. Of course, you got me here, so I'm going to be like, what does this mean, and what does that mean? And I'll throw my girly intuition into it. But, so, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Mandelyn Reese. I am known as the LA Street Angel, or the Street Angel. I wear angel wings with posters on them, and I promote kindness and positive messages all over the country, wherever the breeze blows me. So that is me, in case you're joining us for the first time. We often have new guests because of the guests I have on here, so I have to make sure everybody's like, hey, this is who you're watching, right? So that is me. I just wander around with those. So, my guest today, we are going to be talking about kind of really deep relationship kind of stuff, and they have different really specialties, I would say, and I chose them for a particular reason. The purpose of the show is to help others. The audience, the people who watch this, we're trying to spread more love and positivity and inspiration and help others with advice and stuff like that, as well as the people I have on the show to help spread their messages. So let me introduce my guests. First, we have to my left here, Brian Reeves. Woo! Yeah.
Oh,
and
there I am. Look, there
yeah,
he is.
there you are.
There I am.
And Brian is a relationship coach, and he's had retreats. He actually had one recently for couples, and we're going to be focusing a lot more on him in this segment. But let me also introduce my other guest here. We have Kai Carell over here. Hi, Kai. How are you doing?
Ow!
I'm amazing.
Yeah.
I had an incredibly amazing week.
That's putting it nicely. Yeah, Kai's had a crazy thing with his housing situation. So we've all been having a butt-kicking week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We were just discussing, we've all been having this is the year of having our asses kicked in the most divine, angelic
Perfect,
ways, of course.
amazing, angelic way.
Yep.
Yes, I know I have. You know, I was actually kind of crying on the way to the show. It's been kind of a heavy week for me, and I don't really want to go that deep into it, but we probably will anyway because things come up.
Yes, we will.
So let's talk about Brian and go a little more into what you do. I saw your website.
Thank you.
I looked into it,
Yep.
and in case who's out there, can you see that website?
Point it
Camera?
in front of you. Put it in front of your face.
Oh,
there you go.
I'm trying to get it.
With
BrianReeves.com.
With Kai as the backdrop.
With Kai.
That's the backdrop I always want from now on.
I can never reach that other camera.
I'm
So
gonna just put you on my website and have you
got
behind.
I'll
Yep.
be your
So-
cheerleader.
the cool thing is he's got some really short videos. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
About helping others and relationships. And we actually have a quick one. It's only like a minute long if we could possibly play it. But
Maybe not.
I believe there. Look, he's
Oh,
thumbsing. He's thumbsing up, so we're good.
they're working on it.
It's coming.
Well, the video's coming. Hang tight.
Here we go.
Here it is.
Words that a man can say to a woman. Well, you're probably thinking, "I love you. You are beautiful." I hope you're not thinking, "What's for dinner?" No. The sexiest three words that a man can say to a woman are, "I got this." Now, what does that mean? You know, a feminine woman wants to be able to relax into her partner. She wants to be able to relax in the world. She doesn't want to be caught up in the stress of having to figure stuff out. She wants to be with a partner that she can trust enough that she can relax into his strength, into his certainty, into his clarity, into his direction, and that she can just do her dance and be in her flow and shine her feminine light. When a man says, "I got this," what he's communicating to her is, "Baby, I got you. I got your back. You can just relax. Put your head on my chest because I got this, and I got you." The sexiest three words a man can say to a woman are, "I got this."
Very cool. I would say definitely trust is incredibly important. At least you got to kind of be on the same page. I mean, even if there's people who are like in open relationships, it's important to have like an open communication, which builds a certain amount of trust that you can have a foundation on, right?
Well, so let's just go right for it. I mean, let's go right to the heart of the matter. I mean, what confronts us most in relationships, what has, I do a lot of work with masculine and feminine dynamics, and kind of if anyone's familiar with David Data, he really, really introduced that in a beautiful way through his book, Way of the Superior Man. But let's go even deeper than that dynamic of it's because it's not about men just stepping up and saying, "Hey, I got this," and returning to kind of that macho, "I'll do it, baby. You don't. You just dance and paint and carry on, and I'll take care of everything." Rah. I mean, there's an element of that, but really deeper than that, what I would love to talk about is fear. How a mindset of fear prevents people from really showing up in love in relationships, right? In an authentic offering of love, a mindset of fear. And I'll tell you, just to make this personal, I've been doing, I'm in a new relationship coming up on about 5 months, and I've been single for 5 years. Because my last relationship prior to that was just riddled with so much fear. Both my girlfriend at the time and I were just overwhelmed by fear, and we couldn't see it. And I was a very spiritual man. So, as being a spiritual man, I think I know my shit. I think I know, how to listen, how to really show up, how to hear someone, how to just intellectualize my way out of reality. And man, the fear, like my girlfriend at the time, feeling she was being abandoned in some way, right, or not feeling connection with me. And she was right. I mean, I was checked out in my head, living in my fearful stories. I think in a lot of spiritual circles, you get that thing of my partner's not as spiritual as I am.
Right.
You ever experienced anything like that?
Oh, I've been going through that, where it's like I felt like I've been more spiritual.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was like a big disconnect, because I was like, I'm trying to relay some of the spiritual stuff, and it's just not being understood or integrated or received.
Yeah.
To the where I was hoping it would be. Yeah. Like, that was something I was going to hope to touch on in the third segment, was the importance of common interests. But
well, we'll just stay with the theme of fear, because even that fear of my partner isn't as spiritual as I am is a huge lie. I mean, really. And I'm a recovering spiritual know-it-all. I'm in recovery, so it's a slippery slope, at times. But I've been doing a lot of work, especially in the past year, working with a coach, a woman. Of course, absolutely had to be a woman that could take me there into my mindset of fear around relationships and the arrogance, spiritual arrogance. I call it the arrogance of the enlightened fool. I've been that in my relationships so much, and learning, like doing this work, going on this journey with this woman, and she has this program called Quest for Greatness, which is really all about getting out of our mindset of fear. And so now I'm in this 5-month relationship, and this is the woman I've been waiting for, and this is the dance that I've been yearning for, and it's really about, again, getting all the fear stuff out of the way. Like, one of my fears is in relationship to a woman is I don't want to be controlled. Right. Right. That's a big one. A lot of reason that we'll just stay in a heterosexual context if that's okay. But the reason a lot of men don't say "I got this" is because we're reacting to "don't control me." Because a lot of times it's women they'll express something, a desire, a need, a want, a sadness, a pain, an anger. It'll come up on all this emotional, and a lot of men, we run away from that. Because we're afraid. We're afraid that it's too much. We're afraid that a woman is too much. She's going to overwhelm us. We're going to fucking kill us. Sorry if I just said that word, but it happens. And so, doing the work to get out of that fear, and to really embody a mindset of love. What does that mean to really show up in love beneath the emotional complaints and content that are coming in the relationship, is what it really empowers a man, or a woman for that matter, but a man to really step up and own, "I got this," which is another way of saying, "I love you, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere."
Part of the fear I think people deal with is they've had struggles in the past. Like, they've had terrible breakups. They relate love to being hurt. And so they have this underlying fear of losing the person, having their heart
Absolutely.
broken. But people have to recognize that each new relationship is a completely unique new experience, a new person. And you can look for similarities and definitely draw on your strength of what you learned. But you gotta I think working with fear in all respects is a daily process.
Absolutely.
Because even I deal with fears daily, and so it's like I have to just work with that.
Absolutely.
And I just wrote a blog. I think I mentioned it last show, but I think it's important for people to read it. It's called it's on my angelphoenix.blogspot.com. It's Someone Who Changes You, and it talks about how romantic love relationships really mold and change us. And so I think, I'm glad you found a new relationship that's kind of, you can mold and change each other for the better. You're on a new understanding.
Well, we're not even changing each other. We're doing the work ourselves. We're confronting the fear, all the blocks to love within ourselves that therefore allows us to show up in love with each other.
Awesome. Oh, thank you, Brian. We're going to be talking more. Stay with us because we're going to be talking kind of a group in the third segment. But second segment, we're going to be talking a lot more to Kai. So we'll be right back on the Street Angels show, and see you in a sec. That did not.
You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
LA street angel, called to heal these streets, wipe away the dust with your
I see you laughing at me. You know you like it. Okay, so welcome back to the Street Angel Show in Hollywood, and we are talking about love, dating, relationships, sex, and we've got some male perspectives on the topic and awesome advice coming. So we are going to now be talking to my other guest, Kai Carell. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you. So so you can take me seriously. Let me remove some of this stuff.
Oh, now I can take you less
Yeah.
seriously.
Okay, so I have your website here, and I checked it out last night. It was pretty cool. You have a lot of really deep blogs that I enjoyed reading.
Thank you.
So let me tell the audience how I met you.
Please.
I don't know how I got invited or found out about it, but Kai runs these really kind of high-level spiritual tantra, puja, goddess experiences. Basically, it's like you can go in there and be honored as a goddess with another person doing these rituals. And we have a bunch of pictures that we can show about kind of the supplies and the stuff that goes into these puja goddess events. So we'll be kind of running through the pictures as Kai talks. So let's hear from you. Like, what do you want to say about how'd you get into it?
So, I'll start by saying that the approach that I'm taking is that one of the things that we're missing, and I'm really, actually, it's not me talking, it's not my own idea, it's coming from an ancient tradition, Tantra, which in the West is really related to sex, but if you go back in time and you really study, it's a study into heart and how to bring your heart or how to express your heart, of course, in relating to others, but in anything and everything that you do. There, one of the approaches is 64 tantric arts: cooking, painting, singing, dancing. There are many different approaches. One of them is the practice of adoration or worship, and that's the word
Right.
puja. Here am I again.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that's him getting married.
That's actually, that's my
we
beloved
haven't gotten there yet, but
Malane,
his
that's
wife is here.
That's the most
in the
intense
waiting-
puja ever.
Actually, that was actually I just got married in Brazil, and an
Yay.
incredible ritual of so much adoration and love from
That was
all of our
beautiful.
friends. It was amazing. But coming back to the Tantra pujas, in India many, many years ago, the concept was that if we as a society take the time to appreciate, adore, honor each other twice a week, the way that we relate to each other will be very different. So, for
Right.
example, if you start your day and the UPS guy comes and you just sign the thing, he walks away, it's not a very intimate
Encounter.
encounter.
Mhm.
But if, let's say, 2 days before, the same UPS guy or FedEx, to be fair to both companies, who would have put a piece of chocolate in your mouth or offered you a rose petal,
Right.
then 2 days later when he comes up to you He can't just, okay, sign here. They're like, hey, how are you?
Right. There was a stronger connection made.
Yep. And they had these rituals literally from the age of 12 till the age of 70, or, later if the
For guys or for everybody?
both.
Okay.
So they would meet twice a week, Mondays or Thursdays, and the entire village would start by worshiping women, and then on Thursday, the entire village, women would be worshiping men. So the interactions from really age 12 until the rest of your life, you get to interact with all the men in the village with such a deep, respectful, connected way that everything else in those societies would have to come up. There was very little violence, very little crime because of that reason, because our interactions were so deep. Imagine, let's put a pause, all of the politics that are involved, take all of the politicians, sit down for a minute and adore each other and connect really, maybe things would look a little different. So the puja event that I'm doing actually looks exactly the same as if you were sitting in a temple and worshiping a deity, Krishna or any other Hindu deity.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that you're not sitting in front of a statue, you're sitting in front of a person. So let's assume you would be worshiping Brian, you would be sitting in front of Brian, there will be a plate of items in front of you. There's incense, fire, chocolate, water,
Petals.
rose petals.
That was a really cool experience, I gotta say.
Yeah, and all you would do, and I lead you through the experience, but there's no talking. Just literally, I would tell you, take the incense and go like this around his face, around his
eye
heart.
contact, it's heart
Yep,
contact.
a lot of eye contact and a lot of listening, which, it's so interesting. So many times we go on a date and we just talk, and we tell stories about what we want the other person to see us as, which sometimes can be, as further away from the truth. But in a puja, you're in a way forced to really be intimate and connect. And it's not sexual and it's not sensual. It's presence. And
respect and honoring
Yep.
just each other.
And the whole idea is really because we are not taught how to do that, to sit in front of a person and look into their eyes.
well, see,
Because that never happens.
it's a lot like the respect for the masculine, feminine of each other. The whole yin yang and the infinity symbol. It's like, I think it's a really profound experience just to share as a couple, whether, regardless of your sex, but if you're in a couple, like, relationship, being able to honor each other, it feels like profound,
Yes, and that's actually a part of the experience is that if people come as couples, I let them sit together. But if you're not coming as a couple, every round of offering, the men will switch to a different seat, or the women, depends on the type of ritual.
Right.
But the idea is that you actually get that level of intimacy with a stranger. And one of the experiences, for example, is that I lead men to give back the tears to the women in front of them that they could not cry for whatever reason. They were in a relationship where they couldn't really emote, they couldn't express, they were afraid that if I cry, I will be judged that I'm weak or who knows what. So the men in front of you are going to give you those tears back. And that moment could be a complete stranger sitting in front of you, but the feeling that the masculine is actually, I got this. I can hold you. I can hold your emotions. Sitting there, being present, for many women, or in general, for most women, to sit for an hour and a half, sometimes two, just to receive, with no expectation. No one writes their phone number. It's just that. You sit there to receive for an hour and a half. It's interesting because many women come out and say, wow, that was so hard for me to receive, realizing that actually maybe in my relationships I'm not that open. Maybe I don't really allow myself to receive at all. And for the guys to sit in front of a woman that has that understanding, like epiphany, and you visually see how they drop into their heart and open, changes the game, because now the men understand, wow, if I offer and really give unconditionally, I receive a woman which is so open and so, receptive.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I think my earphones are going out on me.
Oh, you're not receptive to me.
Well played.
But can y'all hear me?
Yeah?
Okay.
I hear you. Great.
Okay, good. I wanted to say, do you think it was your twin flame that you see that?
In Mandelyn,
Yeah.
my wife, I
And
can tell you,
soulmates.
a lot of people ask about soulmates and twin flames, and I honestly, there's not a lot of scriptural background to that idea. It's kind of new idea in terms of seeing it, but I'll tell you what I feel and what I see with Mandelyn is that what happened between us is what in the tantric scripture is called a cosmic event. And a cosmic event is a moment in time where literally all the planets, everything were aligned so perfectly. They even say that when a cosmic event happens, nature stops to listen. Birds stop in midair to see what's happening there. But it just feeling for me, I found a person that shares my passion, shares my capacity to love. But more than anything else, and this is what I want to offer, a lot of people think that a twin flame or a soulmate, someone that just everything works, you know, it's perfect. It's like I like spaghetti, she likes spaghetti. Everything is exactly the same. But for me, a twin flame or someone that's that close to you, cosmic event, would be someone who allows you to love the most, that challenges your capacity to love, challenges your capacity to grow, challenges your ideas of how great can you possibly be. And for me, that is what really is a soulmate, someone that vibrates in the same frequency as you and feels you can do better than that. You can offer more. You can love more. You can listen more. You can express. And with it, accepts you as you are. Okay, that's where you are. Let me nudge harshly sometimes, but let me help you move on to your next phase. So it's not necessarily being exactly the same. It's
and
more
that can be a struggle if as you say, like you're like challenging each other, and
with a smile.
But you can have the love there.
Yep. For me, that is actually the love. That I know that no matter what, I'm there for my partner, and we all say me becoming a we, but it's a we that supports this me so deeply that me, both we, really want to be the best me that you can possibly be.
Yeah. Interesting. But I mean, sometimes, like, what if you're with someone who feels like it's like draining you, you know, in the process?
So I don't want to say just drop everything, but I will definitely say work at it. And if it could be that it's not the right person for you. If there's one thing I like to say as my message for women specifically, do not compromise.
Don't settle.
Do not settle. I constantly see, I coach people, and I constantly see the same thing. Compromise, compromise, compromise. Do not compromise.
You have like about 1 minute left on your segment. Did you want to say something about angels? You mentioned.
Okay. There's a beautiful quote by Archangel Michael. He says, "Why me?" she asked. And Archangel Michael, the most compassionate being, said, "Why not?" The idea of the angelic realm is that they're here to help you if you so choose to what? Do only one thing, and that is to fall in love with yourself. Nothing else.
That's what I've been working on, helping others, but also self-love, because I know I had that recognition that I have got to work on myself. And it's like a constant process, though. Like, I feel like I grow and I heal and I grow and I heal and I go through this mess. And so, all right, but we'll get more into that. So next segment, we're going to talk about do's in relationships, love, dating. So we'll be right back to the Street Angel Show. Thank you.
You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
All right, and we are back to the Street Angel Show on T Radio V Hollywood. So we talked to Brian, we talked to Kai, get some more in-depth stuff individually. So now we're going to do kind of group discussions for the next two segments. Let's talk about recommendations, do's in relationships. So, anything you want to start out with in particular?
Well, what occurs for me based on kind of how this conversation was going at the end.
On the last segment? On
the last segment, yeah. I mean, and this is pretty deep, but we can unwrap what that means, but do recognize that your partner is a reflection of you. So in other words, there's all this, and again, that's kind of that spiritual arrogance, like I'm more spiritual than my partner, or I'm better than my partner, or my partner doesn't do this, or my partner's arrogant, or my partner's, doesn't know how to listen, you can note, one of my favorite is my partner's so selfish, right? Only a really selfish person can complain about their partner being so selfish, right? Because in other words, the subtext is, I want this to be more about me than you're making it about you. Now, So all I'm saying is to really, again, I'm kind of scratching the surface of something here, and it's, when you said, well, what if your partner's exhausting? And it's like it was Kaya's segment, so I wanted to just kind of shut my mouth, but I was like banging on the table, like, well, why are you choosing that? What are you trying to teach yourself about yourself? I mean, that's such a beautiful quote, the Archangel Michael, right? Falling in love with ourselves. Well, can we even know ourselves but through intimate relationships? That's why I love doing intimate relationship work, working with couples, because, I mean, that is the most profound container for our awakening to ourselves, to seeing ourselves in our partners, right?
Well, and then the reflection in the mirror changes sometimes because you grow and learn and change, and so it's like, well, maybe I feel like I've outgrown this relationship, and it's, if it's not moving like we're growing together and more like falling apart, like, well, there's times like it happens.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully, because, but the question is, how do we leave the relationship? Do we leave in anger and fear, or do we leave in love for ourselves and therefore the other? And that is, I mean, what two of my teachers said, something that I couldn't quite figure out, but only leave a relationship in love. Because when you leave in anger and fear and resistance and
bitterness,
all you're doing is you're projecting the stuff you haven't learned yet, you haven't healed your own wounds onto your partner, and you're going to just go play that out with someone else.
Right.
That's why the opportunity is to really recognize. Now, that's not to say stay in a relationship that's abusive or dangerous. But when we're being triggered, and this is the work that I pointed to that I've been doing the last year with my coach, Katharina, and it's really opened up space in my own relationship, is confronting that mindset of fear. And that fear that says, my partner's exhausting, or they don't listen, or they're so selfish, or they're whatever, somehow they're not good enough, is really a projection of I'm not good enough. Does that make sense?
For me, it was more of going around in circles with thinking about it not being right. Like that, almost like this deep gut feeling that something's just off. And I could never quite figure it out. Like, why is it not feeling right? And after almost 2 years of, trying to make it work, at what point do you throw in the towel?
I think if I can add, one of the things that I constantly measure, and it's something I can only measure with myself, am I growing? Am I stepping more towards where I would like to be? Is this relationship something that pushes me to grow, or pushes me to be more guarded? Like Brian said, fear or love? Where am I going? Fear that I need to protect myself. That when you're saying something off, basically for me, you're saying something like I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Now another way to look at heartbreak is, imagine that this is the heart, and we are all guarded to some degree, right? We're not like open-hearted all the time. We have some kind of walls, even with our partners, with life. So you enter a relationship, and this situation allows your heart to grow. And it grows and grows until it reaches these walls of your heart. Now, if you keep pushing, meaning that person is providing enough force for you to push through those walls of fear, they will expand, they'll move a little bit, and your heart will keep on growing. Now, heartbreak is a moment where that person and the force of your heart pushing into one another, either you break through and keep on expanding, or those walls break and you need to build new ones and you leave. So the moment of heartbreak only tells you you've just grown in your capacity to love. And it could be that the person that you're with doesn't have the same capacity. I need more. I feel I can express love in a much more expanded way, and this person is not there, just not there with me. So they're not bad, they're not evil, they're just not there with you where you're at. And that's where you need a courageous, look at yourself and say, okay, I value growth, and that's what I want. And I want my relationship to be a reflection of my capacity to be who I can possibly be. And again, that's why I say it always has to come back to, am I falling in love with myself more? Because if it's just like managing, it's like an okayness, then no, walk away.
Interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't. We're all on our journey to awakening to the truth of ourselves, and sometimes, I had to leave a relationship before I could get the lesson that the relationship was trying to teach me, because it was so bogged down in fear and just what that had created. It was just, we couldn't find our way out at that point. You know, you asked the question, well, when do you leave? When is enough? I think that's a very personal answer for everybody.
Right.
And God, I mean, you talk about heartbreak. A friend of mine once framed that for me as the heart is breaking open. You know, Rumi has that beautiful quote that the wound is where the light gets in. And when our hearts break, we have a choice. We can allow that break to open us to really feel the sorrow of humanity in our own personal experience, and allow that as Kai is saying, that can increase our capacity to love by just letting that all in. And what a lot of people do is we just get cynical. We go angry and cynical, and we build a wall right where and actually even closer to us, you know, a bigger wall, so that we don't get hurt next time, and we actually diminish our capacity to love because of fear. Right, and that's where that mindset of love, mindset of fear work really can become powerful, because we get to see. I mean, that's really the you know, you may have heard that everything happens for us, nothing ever happens to us. And in fear and victimhood, we're constantly living in it's all happening to me. My partner did this to me. He's doing this to me. He's doing it on purpose, or even if he's not, he's unconscious and he's stupid and he's this and he's that. Blah blah blah. Well, what if this fascinating creature in front of you is here for you, for your journey to love, for your opening to love? What if all the dysfunction that you see in them that's triggering you, is really bringing up your own, so that it can finally be healed? Right. I mean, that's what love for yourself, and therefore other. We can't love another human being until we truly love ourselves. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's for real. Because otherwise, if we're just going to constantly be pretend loving others, and then as soon as they don't do what we want them to do to fill up our emptiness, we're going to chop them down and we don't love them anymore. What is that? I mean, that's a very shallow expression of love. So really, it's about falling in love with ourselves and seeing the beauty, all of us, all the so-called cracks in the mirror, the darkness, the sadness, the anger, and the ecstasy, and all of we are each all of that. And when we can be with all of that, and that's why I love your puja experiment, your puja practices, or that worshiping of each other without language, you know, worshiping the totality of the person in front of you, is so profound, because that's ultimately, I mean, an intimate relationship can be the most profound puja.
It is. That's
it
the whole
is.
idea. I'll piggyback on that. That one of the things that the puja experience, because maybe not everyone can do that experience every single day, but the puja comes from a world that's called the art of adoration, and it's an art. It's something that you skillfully master, how to appreciate someone else. Because if you most relationship coaches or people I've studied with always say the same thing, that the moment that the relationship ends is the moment that one of the two takes the other person for granted. I take you for granted. That's it. It's downhill. Now, what's the opposite for that? Is gratitude. And if I can, and the truth is, you know, your life might end tomorrow. Everything can change. We can break up. Everything can change. So as long as I'm capable of growing my muscle of appreciation, and that's why the heart is a muscle, because it has the capacity to grow. If I can practice my appreciation and adoration to you on a daily, at least weekly basis, and turn it into my own nature, that I see in you, look at you, and I can appreciate, and I can adore, and I can offer my gratitude, our relationship will keep on growing. But if I can't, we're taking each other for granted.
Right. I think it's so easy for people to build up walls and blockages in their heart chakra, because they don't know how to deal with that pain.
We're taught to do that.
Fear. We're afraid of being with emotional content, especially men or the masculine. We are so afraid of emotions, and even the only one that's so-called okay for us, anger, we're taught don't feel that. Don't, because it's dangerous. I mean, we're just so dysfunctionally disconnected from our
Go to
emotions.
the boxing ring.
Right. And then women get so frustrated if they can't break through a man's walls and reach him
Absolutely.
on an emotional level.
Absolutely, and which
so
most
then
can't.
it just causes problems. But anyway, okay. So we're going to go to commercial, and I feel like we have like 20 more minutes to talk about this.
But come back. Don't leave on that note of despair.
Yeah, we'll be back to talk more about random things in the fourth segment. We'll be right back. Straight
Don't
in.
give up. There's hope.
Yay, don't give up.
You are watching T Radio V, radio in TV.
Call to heal these streets. Wipe away the dust with your secret ways.
We're back, and we're talking about love, dating, and relationships. I think we were going to touch on a little bit of the do's, but we also want to leave you on a good note at the very end, so we're going to work on that. I have a few questions I want to get to.
Yep.
You did a video on jealousy,
I did? Okay,
and
cool.
I don't know if we're going
Was
to
it good?
play that, but let's talk about that
All
really
right.
quick.
All right. Let's talk about jealousy. Well, what is jealousy? Jealousy is
Fear-based,
clearly, it's the fear that my partner's not going to choose me.
or lose them, or...
Well, just period. My partner's not going to choose me in the next moment. I mean, that's really ultimately the fear. And then you can go deeper. What is it? It's the fear of lack of worthiness, the fear of I'm not enough, I'm not worthy of love, etc. Again, it's all mindset of fear stuff, right? And so jealousy, it's fascinating. You know, I think a little, again, in our back to that discomfort with emotions, because jealousy is like this really nasty word that most of us want nothing to do with, and yet all of us experience. And welcoming that experience into the body, welcoming, being able to, and this is I think the most empowering practice that any human being can be engaged with right now, I believe, is simply being with the emotions that we experience, because we so are in our heads all the time, and in our mind, that mindset of fear, which is really what it's the only thing that sabotages relationships, is a mindset of fear. It's it, really.
And then it like manifests in all these other different ways.
It shows up in all these ways, whether it's jealousy or affairs, just lack of communication, emotional shutdown. I call it masculine checkout syndrome. So really, again, everything that we talk about could just come right back. If there's one thing that I would love to leave the audience with, it's just start to notice all the fear that you're carrying in, well, your entire world, but really in your relationships, your intimate relationships. Again, you can see fear around money. That's a great one, but we'll come back to intimate relationships. Just notice the fear, how that comes up, how it's sourced in a thought, the mindset of fear, the thought, my partner's not going to choose me, they don't love me, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I mean, et cetera, and then we play that out, and ironically, then we create the thing we fear
Self-fulfilling
most.
prophecy.
Absolutely.
Well, what about overly strong attachments, codependency, clinginess, obsession?
I can talk for hours. Kai, you want to jump in?
I don't talk a lot usually, but attachment.
We're challenging you.
Actually, I'll just, there's the usual. I'm supposed to say something else. Say something else. I will say that attachment is actually very healthy. There is such a huge fear from attachment. Oh my God, I'm not, especially in the spiritual world. Yogis and the like that should not be attached to anything. And if God forbid, I'm attached to my partner. But attachment, in a way, you came here, you have a human form, your time here is very limited, and your attachment can be also a reflection that you are not taking the other thing or person or whatever it is for granted. That, wow, it's not here forever, and it means a lot to me. So the fact that you have these feelings doesn't necessarily mean, okay, cut them from the root, don't have them, don't feel them. It's the understanding that if you want it or not, the process of creation is that you are going to let it go eventually. You can fight it, but just wait. Eventually, if it's in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, that person is going to die, leave you, disappear. So the process of letting go, it literally happens to you since the moment you were born. You are literally living a process of letting go. Transitioning, right? So attachment on its own, it's not a bad thing. It's not something that you need to avoid. What you need to be aware of, the obsession around it, or the clinging to what the other person needs to do because I'm attached to them. Okay, I'm attached. I love Brian. He's my, but if
I
I'm
love you
like,
too, Kai.
oh my God, that's where it becomes, the obsession is the problem, not the attachment. Buddha said, for example, one of the truths of Buddha is not to be attached, but he said not to be attached, non-attachment to sukha dukkha, the pain and pleasure, but not to. He didn't say, okay, so never eat chocolate because it's pleasurable. He said, just understand that you're not always going to have chocolate, but when you do, enjoy it. But also realize that the following day you might eat, or have an unfriendly situation, but don't worry because you're not always going to have that. So the problem is that when we're attaching or we're obsessing about the always, not about the thing itself. You're in a relationship, you're attached, enjoy it. It's beautiful. It's magnificent even.
But what if it feels toxic?
Then it means that you have chosen the obsession over the person. You're more into your neurotic behavior than the actual person.
And I would frame that as well as you're really in fear. You're entrenched in your fear, the fear of leaving. I was in that scenario where I was afraid to be alone, for example. That's a big one. A lot of women will stay in bad relationships because they're afraid to be alone. They're afraid to lose connection. Right? So the invitation is to notice the fear, notice the fear-based thought. Like, what are you carrying? What's the fear-based thought? And then, again, there are ways, and the one that I've been working with is really powerful, this model of quest that I've been working with my own coach, which turns a mindset of fear into a mindset of love, right, which is where we really get to discover that I'm always connected. A woman who thinks her man is the source of her connection is going to stay in really bad scenarios.
Well, how do you deal with someone who's obsessed with you?
How do you deal with someone who's obsessed with you?
Right.
Well, why do you have to deal with them?
If they just won't stop.
Well, what does that mean? I mean, if they won't stop, call the police. Like, if they're a threat, call the cops. Stop interacting with them. I mean,
if you want to help, help that person, I wanted the bow, but it's so hot.
It gets a little tickly.
It's a great idea, though.
A great idea. Again, if you want to help them, if that's your intent, is to really empower them and show them that you're not alone, that you are choosing them and help them. But again, if it becomes a neurosis and they're stalking every move, then maybe it's just not the right. And you can understand that you choosing to say no is actually a helpful choice and helpful step towards them.
Okay, I have one quick question. What is your if a woman wanted to approach a guy in a natural setting, such as the gym, what would you say is a safe or a good way to do it?
Eye contact. Eye contact and a smile.
Okay.
Hold it just for hold it long enough to where you feel a little naughty.
No.
So that the guy knows what's going on.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and then it's up to him to...
Not necessarily. I would say, all the from my point of view, all the games are, that's like the 90s. We're in a place where, hey, I find you really interesting. I would like to know more about you.
So it'd be kind of...
I agree with that. However, in the play of masculine and feminine dynamics, when a woman is more in her masculine of going and getting what she wants, she's more likely to attract a man who will love that, who will relax and let her do the heavy lifting. This is a big conversation, and you're absolutely right. There are no rules. I'm not a man of rules. Don't agree in the rules, but just there's a lot to explore there. But I do agree. I mean, if you want to go talk to someone, go talk to him.
But I agree with you that mystery is a big part of the game.
Yeah, usually it's known that guys are supposed to do the pursuing,
Well, and I don't use the word supposed to. It's just, what do you want in a partner? Do you want a more masculine partner? Do you want a more feminine partner? And then just learn what that means. And then it's a game. We're just playing. All we're doing is playing. And to me, it's about being conscious of the game and then playing it.
I just want to appreciate you, Mandelyn, for all the angelic work that you're doing. And I want to appreciate the guys in the back room for doing this work.
Thank you.
And I want to appreciate Brian for being here and doing all this.
I love you, Kai.
I love you, too.
I love you,
Thank
Mandelyn.
you, guys. This was great.
This is wonderful.
Next week, I'm going to be trying to devote the whole show to my Street Angel project and really try to put out there everything that I've accomplished and hopefully will accomplish with the goals in the future. So stay tuned for next week. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you guys for being here. And everybody take care. Have a good one. The Street Angel Show has concluded.
You are watching T Radio V. Radio and TV.